Hello and welcome to Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. What is New Age cult behavior? What is New Age orthodoxy? And why is this such a big problem in the spiritual metaphysical communities? And why have I been poking holes in this philosophy for about 20 years now, dating back to Usenet groups a very long time ago, the Usenet out-of-body groups, the Usenet supernatural groups. That's about how long that I've sort of felt uneasy about this, and it's slowly evolved, and I think these days I can pinpoint just what's going on here. And to illustrate this, of course, I'm going to be talking about this incident that happened on Facebook, and you guys might be like, uh-oh, Facebook drama. But it just, to me, besides the fact I'm personally a bit offended or upset about this, but it just illustrates very nicely the evolution of New Age cult behavior and how it can take over a community. So, as a quick summary, there is a group on Facebook that I would basically say, in my opinion, is out of control. And it's one of what I call, there's this, like the big five of groups about life after death. And these groups, in my opinion, is highly influential. So it's kind of trailblazing a new way of looking at spirituality and focus on the objective evidence of the afterlife. And so the big five, in my opinion, is our group, Afterlife Topics, which probably has fewer than some of the other groups. Evidence for the Afterlife by Victor Zammit. Life After Death 101. Probably Realms of the Afterlife and Proof of Life After Death. And so I was earlier today banned from Proof of Life After Death, besides the fact that I run Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. I've been posting on the group for longer than Afterlife Topics has been around. And I even sort of knew the admin who did this. So what ended up happening is, in my opinion, a kind of ideological hysteria. And when I revealed what happened on Afterlife Topics, lo and behold, out from the woodwork, many members, many people who are valuable posters and valuable contributors to our community, all coming out to reveal their bad experiences in that group, the censorship, the ideology, the demeaning attitudes, and the intellectual purging, which has been going on, and it hadn't always been like this. So, what the heck happened? And I will say, I'm making this. I mean, it's a public group with something like 20,000 people, and it's a very it was is the most popular of that big five that I referenced. So I don't have any qualms about revealing the name of the group and who the admin is, which is Rita Del Masto Talamo. But, certainly don't go harass her or send her any messages or bother her. But I want people watching the video to at least be aware of what's going on, because if you're getting involved in this field, in this area of study, then it helps to know what are the good places to go to. And among that big five, I'd recommend any of those groups, just not this one, because there seems to be some kind of a ideological hysteria happening. And let me tell you, this is a story as old as humanity. Get a group together, in this case, 20,000 people in a group, and basically, allow people to cement bonds or friendships based around set particular beliefs, and then watch as those beliefs slowly become a kind of fundamentalism. And we see this in organized religion, but what's interesting is that now today, the age of the internet, we can see this happening on a grassroots level. We can watch it in real time happening, and it's also a major point of self-reflection to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen to us. So, I'll go into some details of what happened with this situation, but first I want to talk about what is this New Age ideology that I often rail against. It's why I don't always have so many friends. This isn't the first time that my ideas have been chased out of town. Why am I controversial? Why do people not like hearing what I have to say? And this channel has a pretty small platform, but my books have a bigger platform, and the group has a pretty good platform as well. But just given that much of a platform, I've had very angry people for the last 4 years, since I became kind of a quasi public figure in this area. And to illustrate that, I've had many, shall we say, angry letters, angry emails, people telling me that I'm not a real author and I'm not a real, my opinions are not valid. Go home, shut up about this, don't talk anymore. Basically like borderline threats. This has appeared on this channel in the comments section before. I've had very abusive things thrown at me, which doesn't affect me because I'm not affected by people's words. I'm not one of those like ultra PC words are violent types of people, so it's not the end of the world. But I do have this kind of Aikido style principle that when somebody attacks me, I attack them back with equal force. So if somebody makes a nasty accusation against me, I'll do some digging and maybe I'll make a nasty accusation back. And okay, so maybe it's not the nicest behavior, but I don't pretend to be some enlightened saint. And I run pretty big communities, and sometimes, in my opinion, you have to show a little bit of a bark. Ironically, I said that just as dogs began barking outside my window, but whatever. So why have in the last 4+ years, why have I gotten under so many people's skin? I think some hecklers might say, well, Cyrus, it's because you're kind of annoying. Hey, maybe I am a little bit annoying sometimes, but what is it about my ideas? What is it about what's in my book? Hold on, let me grab it. See? Unedited videos, this is what you get. What is it about my book, Understanding Life After Death, that pisses people off so much? But also, what is it about the book that has had people write to me that I saved their lives? What is it about my work that has, on a weekly basis, people telling me that they felt just anxiety and helpless? They lost a loved one, sometimes a child or a parent or a sibling, and they just felt completely lost until they read the journalistic style reports that I've put out there about these metaphysical paranormal subjects. And why is it that, okay, some people I piss off really badly, but that so many more people tell me that my work literally saved their lives? This is why I don't stop doing this stuff, because I know that just working as a journalist basically in this area is helping so many people, being able to report information and get facts out. Well, here's the deal, and I've mentioned this in the past. It has to do with a specific belief system that has developed over the years and has manifested out of what I call the New Age Isle. Well, it is the New Age Isle, the metaphysical Isle of Barnes & Noble, or it's manifested on internet forums and communities and groups. And the specific belief system is that when you die, all of your problems go away. It's that when you die, you become an angelic light being, free of any psychological limitation, and free of any ramifications for your behavior. So you could be the worst person. You could, wake up out of bed, walk to your car, kick the neighbor's dog, rear end somebody, do a hit and run, get to your workplace, screw somebody over for a raise, go out at night, spend money, doing something unscrupulous, come back home, repeat the process, treat everybody around you horribly, whatever it might be. Do that, and then your whole life, just lead a horrible life, and then die, and then presto, you have no responsibility. You don't have to worry about anything because you are immediately transformed into a divine angel or being of light. And no matter, all your imperfections will go away. You don't have to take any responsibility for anything you've ever done or said. And this is the core belief of quote New Age ideology. And New Age is not even the correct term because that's just a blanket statement. This is something else. There is not a proper terminology yet for whatever this is. But it is a belief system that has arisen out of the study of spiritual subjects, kind of like a new philosophy. Now, why is this so seductive? Because it alleviates personal responsibility. So you don't need responsibility. You don't have to worry about self-development. You don't have to worry about becoming a better person. It's all taken care of. You just have to die. What are the ramifications? Well, it gives people permission to do whatever they want. Somebody wants to shoot up a school. Well, now they know that, hey, once I put the bullet to my own head afterwards, then everything will be fine. I'll be an angelic light being. They can, continue to treat people horribly. They don't have to work on themselves. They don't have to exercise, maybe just, they can keep letting their body go to waste, and comes with that the psychological ramifications, which aren't so pleasant. But it doesn't matter because we can just let ourselves go to waste, because once we're dead, we become perfect angelic beings of light. So this idea spread like wildfire, and this is why it's no coincidence that people who really uphold this idea tend to, in my opinion, not be very nice people. There's very, very well known that in communities, the most judgmental, worst people that you can bump into are the people preaching love and light. And this is not a new phenomenon. I've been seeing this on the internet for 20 years, and it's kind of a joke. It's an ongoing joke that people who say namaste, blessings, and white light and all of these platitudes, some of them are all right. Some of them really are nice, genuine people on a spiritual path, and then some of them are just the most vicious, two-faced people that you'll ever encounter. And this is nothing new. It's all over the place. But why? Because the same people are probably really, they have a history of doing horrible things in their lives. They clung on to the handful of, authors and, people in this area. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to put Abraham Hicks on that list. I mean, there's a lot of different influential sources of information that promote this. And usually it's coming out of channeling, and it's not coming out of direct spirit communication. So so they cling on to these types of ideas, that there's no responsibility, we all become light beings, and there's no such thing as negativity, because that is their only way out of ever having to worry about personal responsibility. Now here's the kicker. When you go into objective afterlife data, spirit communication, hundreds of years of spiritualist literature that goes into sometimes very, verifiable spirit communications, as well as out-of-body experiences, being able to interview and talk to deceased people one-on-one, and the information that comes out of honest mediums, all of it contradicts this philosophy. And this is where that kind of division has arisen. Because they all say that when we die, we end up in a world that can be shockingly similar to this world. It's like you just took all the data from this world, hit copy and paste, and made this astral environment where we end up still in kind of astral physical bodies, and we still have to live with ourselves and our actions. So we may have initial transcendental experiences with God or the light, but when that's done, we end up going back to basically what is our same life, continuing our same path of evolution. And if we did do horrible things, there's this thing called a life review that happens, and we actually end up experiencing the pain that we caused other people, And then what? And then we still have to live with ourselves after. And you know what? This is a scary proposition. But running away from it's not going to help anybody. And clinging to a fantasy won't either. So that is the quote New Age ideology. That's how it works. That's how it seduces people, and that's why there's these issues in that area. So to kind of briefly summarize like what happened with the Facebook drama, I posted the previous video to this one where I was talking about how we don't all become orbs of light when we die. We don't, we have still solid astral bodies, and basically implying that we're responsible for our actions. We remain who we are, but there's many great opportunities that come with that. We are we don't have to just look forward to a singular monolithic Borg-like Star Trek Borg-like existence on the other side, where we all just become these light beings who with no color or flavor or character or anything like that, or no content of soul. We just end up just in this monolithic existence. Instead, we get to be the arbiters of our own destinies. We get to decide what we will do with our lives, and maybe it involves reuniting with our deceased loved ones. That New Age orthodoxy does not appeal to people who have lost loved ones, because they don't want to see their daughter or son or sibling or close friend as a blank slate light being who has no similarity anymore to who they once were. That's not very comforting. In fact, it causes people a lot of grief. And I know this because people write to me almost every day about this, about how that the New Age ideology brought them all this grief, because it's almost like their loved ones really have died, because now whatever it is that they become is not going to be similar at all to what they once were. And if this was the truth, I care about the truth, I'd be reporting this as the truth. But it turns out all this information comes from nebulous channeling and mediums who may or may not be trustworthy, and just a lot of sketchy sources of information that keeps this whole thing going. So anyway, so I posted that last video to this group, the group in question, and I immediately began getting like weird static from people. So one woman replied and told me, go get educated. So she wasn't too happy, and I'm like, well, go get educated yourself. Here's all this. I actually linked some Stafford Betty's material. I'm like, this is tons of collected information about like the conditions after we cross over. And then it got even hairier. So some lady who I don't even know why, she came out of nowhere. She said, Cyrus, you're a very angry man, and I'm sorry your life is so terrible this go around. It's like, what? I'm like, how dare you judge me? You don't know me, and you have no right to call me an angry person. Then this other lady came out and said, I am not of the light. And tell me this isn't like cult-like and kind of creepy behavior. It's like, you are not of the light. You must be gone. That's literally what, the pushback. But the thread kept going, and surprise, it blew up, and tons of people were liking it and watching the video and listening to this and agreeing with me, and basically telling me that New Age ideology has really caused them a lot of grief, and they were very, very happy to hear what I had to say. There was one, like a mom on the thread who lost a child, and she was personally thanking me, and we had a long back and forth. But all of that was for nothing, because then the admin, somebody who I thought was kind of a friend but has apparently gone down cultist territory, came in and flipped out and banned me from the group. And since that time, apparently there's been some kind of a backwards editing process going in, like covering tracks, to basically remove all the posts agreeing with me. And I don't know what else is being edited, but from what's being reported to me right now, they're basically trying to make it look like I am whatever it is that they've depicted in their imaginations that I am, to justify getting rid of me. So that's what's being told to me anyway. And So when I posted on the Afterlife Topics group about this incident, lo and behold, there's all these people who have, in recent times, suddenly been getting kicked out of that particular group and being exposed to all this cultish behavior. So I won't name names, but I suppose you could zoom in on the screen and see who I'm talking about if it matters to you very much. But here's one person who is somebody I know was kicked out of the group for agreeing with me, as well as apparently several other people on that thread, just ideological purge. So we have another lady, I'll mention her, Molly, who's one of our producers basically for this channel, helps support this channel, and she was talking about how she was chased out of the group because she mentioned that she does not support physician-assisted suicide. And here's the funny thing. I support physician-assisted suicide. I think probably all my admins do and most people in the group. I would never think of banning her because she has this different opinion. I actually respect that opinion. That's a kind of a tough opinion to take. So she quietly mentioned this once in this particular group, and they insulted her. They insulted her profession as a nurse, and they chased her out. And who else? So we had somebody else here who was kicked out for expressing an opinion about reincarnation, I think. So, so this individual said he did not believe in reincarnation in general, which I think is just a normal thing to say in a discussion group. And the reply, she says, the replies I got were that my comment was not welcome and that I should not I should not discuss it. After standing up for myself, I deleted my comment and blocked a couple of people. But, I guess it's kind of a mistake. Accidentally blocked an admin and then was kicked from the group. But, still, I mean, this is this weird kind of ideological censorship. It's like, well, I don't know if I believe in reincarnation. You're not allowed to talk about that here because they've developed this orthodoxy and you cannot question it. So there's other people in this thread now who have come out of the woodwork to tell their stories about how they also were chased out of the group or banned or whatever. And this wasn't happening in the old days, so this ideology took control, and like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, suddenly you have this cult mentality, and that's what's happening. So, in the end of the day, to be perfectly honest, it wasn't a very good group. It's moderated very, very badly. There's a lot of like these really kind of dumb posts that get posted there all day. It's kind of like the Jet Sam and Float Sam of the internet, just stuff and being carried up into waves, nobody doing quality control. So there's lots of posts like hi everyone, anyone see a ghost, just like stuff that's really low quality, not interesting, not engaging. But underlying that, you have this weird ideological thing happening. But what's scary is just that, this is one of the biggest afterlife groups on Facebook, and it slowly took control. And all of a sudden there's an ideology going on. And I post a video that contradicts that a little bit, and then look what happens. Final thoughts. We have to resist this kind of stuff if we want to move this whole thing forward. I understand people staying unified, but I also think division has a purpose sometimes, especially when you're dividing the swamp water from the fresh water. And we need to look at when we're turning away from a objective, rational, scientific way of handling these subjects and going into religion. And we also have to be able to look at it as a series of ideas, even if it makes us uncomfortable, to be able to go where the evidence leads us. And that's all I talk about. Like my books are about going where the evidence takes you. And if it led to a different conclusion, then I would have a different conclusion. But the good news is I kind of think the universe is an intelligent thing. And when we go closer to the truth, it's like we actually go closer to something that feels natural and feels right, that our intuitive abilities will tell us this is the truth. And that's incredibly important. And one of the reasons these groups and these types of cult attitudes become so threatened is because they know in their intuitive abilities that it's fishy, that they're building a foundation made of glass. And so that's why they become threatened and they attack. But, this has been going on for millennia. It's the history of organized religion. So now it's time for us to move past that and keep pushing toward the truth behind these subjects and try to break free from ideology and censorship. Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics will always, as long as I'm running it, remain censorship free, so that anyone can discuss anything as long as it's not preaching an ideological opinion or hate speech. Otherwise, everything else is good to go. Come over and join us at Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics. And that's it for this video. Please subscribe if you like what I had to say. If you hate this concept that I'm poking a hole in this particular religious idea, then you can debate me about it. You can even join the group and say, I disagree with you. I believe that we all become angelic light beings when we die. We don't have personal responsibility. And okay, well then let's debate it. But you just have to get ready for a pretty fierce debate. But if you don't mind that, then you can question the status quo on this group as much as you want. This is Cyrus, and I'll see you all on the next video.